Vernomatic Productions.
Ah, look, you're back in detention.
Got it.
But this time, you won't be throwing pencils up into the ceiling tiles the entire time.
Don't mess with the bull, young man. You'll get the horn.
Your proctors expect you to be on your worst behavior as they give you remedial instruction in the history of hard rock and metal.
You going to school?
Hey, settle down. Here's Vernomatic and Ian O'Rourke with your rock and roll detention.
Damn straight detention. Good evening, everybody. Vernomatic here with you. And welcome to another edition of what we call Rock and Roll Detention. I'm joined tonight by my co-host, Ian O'Rourke from the band MOTORLORD. Ian, how you doing, buddy?
What's going on, brother? This is going to be a fun one for you and I know that.
Oh, we're taking a deep dive tonight into Van Halen's fourth album, Fair Warning. Some call it, a drop-off. In some circles, they call it their best album. So what we're going to do tonight, we're veering away from our normal interview segments or the history of metal. And like the guy at the beginning said, it's just a deep dive into a particular subject. Sometimes it may be an album, maybe a band, maybe a tour, maybe a special event. So tonight it's Fair Warning. Again, the band's fourth album came out in 1981. The tour was the pinnacle. Really, I thought, of their live performances. The stage was immense. Eddie probably had about, 50 more amps than he actually used or needed, but the imagery was there. Ian, let's get into this. Your initial thought of Fair Warning, when did you get into it, and what's the highlight of it for you?
Knowing songs from it, especially thinking back to the early MTV days, seeing videos for, Unchained and So This Is Love, stuff like that, hear about it later, the things that, kind of were that live Oakland, performance that they had, the monumental performance. That was like knowing what the songs were, but I can remember actually buying the tape, and I still have the cassette. And I was going to try to dig it out, but it's packed away in storage. But that was one of those tapes I can remember first hearing Mean Streets, and I had never heard Mean Streets before. And I'm thinking to myself, what the hell is he doing with the guitar? And he comes in with that intro, and then it just comes in with that. It was just, wow, and then, you go through the whole gamut of the album. I think I had told you when we just, started talking about doing this, this is one of those albums that secretly has crept up into my top album realm. Like I can't just have, and all of them are my favorites, but like, I always hang my hat on Women and Children first, being like that for me was because it was a departure from the first two albums. Yeah. But this album is, if I had to rank, it's like 1A and 1B, because it's so good and it's so different than their usual material. And, and everybody's always talked about it being a darker album, and it is darker. It's, we come to find out later, it's definitely interpreted more from the inner pressures of what Eddie was facing himself. And it really kind of spit out some really quality material. It didn't have the California Sunshine, shtick that, was in the first two albums, but it definitely was on the same path, I think, when it comes to the weight of the material that Women and Children first had.
Yeah, it was, it was a departure, you're right, from the first two. And even Women and Children first. We're here to talk about Fair Warning, but Women actually leaned a little more towards the first two albums in the sense that they were still pulling stuff from the demos. Right. Now, this album, Eddie wrote it in a couple weeks. They came off tour, and he started scratch. And there really wasn't anything from outside of the first track, Mean Street. The main hook of the song comes back from the Voodoo Queen demo. Voodoo Queen. But other than that, I'm sure, there's other undocumented tidbits that came from, previous years. But,
Sure.
you mentioned Fair Warning. It opens up and Eddie doing that it's not tapping, but the,
it's a slapping like a jazz bass player. Yeah.
He's slapping and just the way that it fades in, and then the dive bomb and the feedback and just the power chord. Yeah, it's just, to this day, still makes those hairs on the back of my neck just stand up. Let's talk Lee Roth. This was when Dave was the lion in the fucking jungle. No one was cooler.
Huge.
The imagery with the mane and he ruled on this. And that song, Mean Street.
And I know that I believe you said that you saw this tour as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
Fair Warning?
Yeah.
Okay. So you can attest to it. I had a poster that was like 5x8 or 4x8. I mean, it was huge. That was a panoramic shot from the side of the stage showing the entire Fair Warning backdrop, Alex's huge kit, Eddie with the white, outfit with the stripes, Roth with the freaking vest on with the leather chaps, and Michael Anthony on the other. I mean, it was just, you saw it and you're like,
well, let's be careful here, because if you're talking leather chaps, that was Diver Down.
Oh, okay.
The assless leather chaps. That came around in Diver Down. So there really wasn't a lot of media for Fair Warning. I don't recall any posters, or the only audio or video you had was the three, like you said, the 3 shots from Oakland. And that's always, a big controversy as to some people, and I've asked Greg Renoff on several occasions. He doesn't know if there's, footage in the safe and they're just holding out. But believe it or not, what's that?
I would love it.
Yeah, I would love a pro shot, but believe it or not, they don't think there is. And you think, why isn't there? Well, they're at the time, 1981, they're commissioned to film, 3 videos, and that was film. That wasn't video. 3 videos. But I'm going to tell you something, Ian. At the beginning of the Unchained video, you see this big lit Van Halen emblem.
Oh, yeah.
That came down at the end of Ain't Talking About Love, that lit up the entire arena beyond belief. So if they're saying that they only shot video for 3 songs, which was that Unchained, So This Is Love, and Hear About It Later, then how do they have video footage of the end of the concert? Little, food for thought there. But in any case, Mean Street, a kick-ass opener. They played it in concert, and they dusted it off in the later tours with Wolfie on the last 2 or 3 tours, and it was a great re-addition to the to the set. The second track, Dirty Movies. Oh God,
so good. So good.
So good.
Just the faint coming in with the toms. Tell me that drum beat hasn't been sampled by every hip hop artist in the world too. I mean, just the swing of the whole song has just got this. It's like, and like you said with Roth, he comes in and the way that he spits out his words and the melodies that he manipulates around what the playing is that's going on with Eddie. And it comes in, the whole thing with that, it's dirty and just so, there's such an intensity to it. And it's unlike anything that they had done before.
Oh, yeah.
That's the one thing with this album. You listen to this album and it's like Van Halen, but it's not as reminiscent, like you said, those first 3, because there was so much shared, symbiosis, with the origins of those riffs. This was different, and dirty.
Just pure genius.
Yep.
Hauntingly beautiful.
Yeah.
That slide guitar. And, you know, he played this song on that SG in the studio.
Cut the horn off.
cut the listeners. You know what an SG is? The guitar that Angus Young plays, and it has like the devil horns.
This guy plays one, yeah.
Yeah, well, Angus Young, he's probably like the most famous SG player.
Oh, of course.
And he sawed off one of those hooks because he said it got in the way.
Yeah.
You know, hey, do you remember when that girl was prom queen? Ding,
oh,
ding,
no, the
ding.
next one. Oh, wow. Take it off. Take it all off. Wow. That's Roth throwing a party right there.
Yeah.
That's what that is, you know. And oh my God, these guys did things so effortlessly, you know, the harmony vocals and the riffing and the power and the melodies, everything that just happened. And it was so great. And then you get through this song as it starts to fade out. And you hear that.
Then you hear the flanger, echoing. But before we get to the next one, the 1-2 punch sequencing of Mean Street into Dirty Movies.
Oh yeah,
just sets the table.
Huge.
And then Sinner Swing.
Yeah, and this is Eddie and Alex with that. They've got that timing vibe, you know, the way that they play, you know, that.
Yeah. What are my notes on? It's just dark, and it's just Dave purposely using obscenities. She looks so fucking good.
Fucking good.
You know,
they weren't putting out singles, I don't think, with this album.
No. One of Eddie's most blistering solos. It was just you know, these songs aren't long. This is like 3 minutes long, 3.5 minutes long.
Yeah, it's a pretty quick album. Yeah. It's, you know, in the
309, Sinner Swing is 309. Actually, the first 2 songs are the longest. And you know, that going back to Mean Street, some think it's a deep cut, but you know, if I would put it on my top 10 list of Van Halen songs all time. It's
easy. Yeah.
You know, but that came in at 5 minutes. Dirty Movies was 4. So,
well, it's just when you listen, like you were saying, the blistering solo, you know, this is Eddie when he was expounding upon the tapping that he did. You know, you saw him do it in live shots in concert. You know, you didn't hear it as much, you know, like even Women and Children First, it's a departure from the first 2 albums because he didn't do a lot of tapping. You know, like, I mean, the solo for Romeo's Delight, that's just him showing everybody, hey, look how fast this kid can play. I mean, he just freaking tears through it. But this was him doing some of that, you know, double string jumping and, you know, the way that he was doing the stuff like that. And it sounds so chaotic, but it flows so methodical through that solo. It's just freaking fantastic. And when I went back, I think when we talked about this a couple weeks ago, I had gone back and I'm like, you know what? I really want to listen to it again. And I was listening to it with headphones on. And you know how the classic Van Halen is, you get Ed in this ear and you get the reverb in this ear. Okay. And I'm sitting there listening and I'm just concentrating on the way that he's playing. And like, I'd always had, you know, certain things where it's like, you know, the guitar sound sometimes on this album doesn't sound as blah, 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 blah. No, it's right where it's supposed to be. It's so sizzling hot when you listen to it. I was like, oh my God, listen to that freaking tone, you know? So, I mean, this
sizzling hot. Ian O'Rourke coined the term sizzling hot. And, I couldn't agree more. Amazing. And you know what? The quick little fun fact, you know, the original title was Get Out and Push.
Oh, really?
And then they changed it to Sinner Swing. You know?
Yeah, well, it's definitely got the swing.
Yeah, so that 1, 2, 3 punch is it sets the tone, and then go ahead.
But this here, This is where it starts taking Van Halen to that majestic level.
Yeah.
To close out this side, man.
Side, so showing your age. But he's right. The end of side 1 of Fair Warning, the track Hear About It Later. Now, this song originally written on keyboard. Now,
yes. Oh, you can tell. Yeah.
Well, I can't tell. I was just going to ask you. I can't tell. I'm not a musician. And now, Ian, why can you tell?
So one of the things that kind of gave it away from the beginning is when you listen to the chords that he's playing. Okay, so he does this arpeggiation, which is just when you hit the strings separately in a chord instead of bring, you ring it out. Okay, so it goes do doom bap boom bap boom bap boom do do. But then it's the next set of chords that he uses. Doom doom ba doom ba doom boom do do boom doom do da that's like a piano movement. Dun dun dun.
Okay. Sort of.
It's just
sort of like going back to Van Halen 2, Women in Love. Those melodic openings, and I'm sure later on in the Hagar years there was stuff that was similar to this, but we're just worried about the 6-pack. That's the Holy Grail.
But these were, though, those songs, and I know that you and I have talked about this before, where by this album, they have a certain formula of particular types of songs that end up being what would be not mimicked, but refreshed from album to album going forward. You started to see it a little bit with Women and Children first, Simple Rhyme.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The way that song is, it's got that build, and it's got the, it gets to that melodic spot in the middle, and then it, kicks back up again.
This does
but it's
too.
all same kind of thing.
Yeah.
So this song is just so powerful in its simplicity, but its complexity at the same time, if that makes sense to you, because it's got so much going on. And Roth with the, I'm walking down, fine. It's just,
I love Alex with the cowbell. And then you see the kinship. The only brothers with a musical sense.
Rhythmically. Yeah.
Yeah. They're in that pocket. And it's just so again, listeners, if you haven't seen this, and who hasn't seen it now, if you're listening to this, you're a diehard Van Halen fan. It's one of those 3 Fair Warning live videos, and
just brutal. Such a great, and the first side, by the time it's done, you're like, wow, what's the next side gonna bring for me?
Yeah, and there's no skippers. It's not like, because there's no skippers. So then all of a sudden, you flip the platter, back in the day, or you flip the tape, and Unchained.
One of the granddaddy riffs of all time.
Yes.
Really.
And I was just watching a video tonight, a new released video of Eddie, explaining, these are the later years. This was like a year or 2 or 3 before he passed. And he's holding one of his guitars, and he was demonstrating patented guitar applications that he has, where the retractable nut on the back, so he could, he could change.
Tuna.
Yeah.
Yes. Yep.
And Eddie, I love this riff. This song was voted #1 Van Halen song by fans. And the Inside Magazine, their official fan club publication, show opener. I've seen them open with this song several times. It's just, again, another one of those hair on the back of your neck stander-uppers.
The sheer power of the song. Remember, 1981. Okay. So they're coming out with this song the same year that Sabbath has Mob Rules, and, you've got all of these new wave of British heavy metal bands doing what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Van Halen comes out with this song, and again, basically putting their stamp saying, we rule the top of the mountain. Sorry, you're not getting past here. I mean, it's just thunderous. You know, the drop D makes it even heavier for him to be playing that riff, and you're hitting those palm mutes. And that's the best part about when you hear the live versus the studio. The studio, the palm muting is kind of got that blend of the flange over the top of it. You know, you get that flange on it.
Oh.
When you see it live, I mean, it hits you right in the chest, you know, and you're like, man, this guy is just a monster. And, you know, the simplicity of the groove between what Alex is doing and what Michael's doing. Michael's just riding that footnote, just you know, until he's got to do little passages in between for the changes. It's just it's a well-crafted genius song, because there was nothing like it at the time. I mean, you could say that with just about every one of theirs, but nothing like it.
Well, two things. Eddie went on record to say, Unchained, it's rare that I could listen back to one of my own playing and get goosebumps. Well, that song's one of them. In the middle part,
I think I got him.
And this is what makes Van Halen Roth era magic. The Roth middle part, where they slow things down, and it's like, he's clowning and goofing around, but that's what Van Halen Roth was. That's what made it magical, where they slow it down, and Ted Templeman through the master control.
Come on, Dave, give me a break.
Was it scripted? Was it spontaneous? I think a little bit of both, but the point being, it worked, it fit, and it was magic. So and one last little point on this was, we had talked about, Van Halen in the past, and one of the magical parts of, with Dave, with the helping of the crafting of the songs, or the way that the songs kind of flowed together, he had always imparted the fact that, it's got to get people out on the dance floor. It's got to have movement to it, because that's what's going to pull people in. Okay. Yeah. You listen to, the drums and the bass are pretty straightforward driving, but the riff that Eddie plays, under the vocals, it's got that, you could see people, put it on a clean guitar with some, funk bass behind it, and all of a sudden it's a different song. So they always had this in their minds with everything that they did. So that was great. Now we jump ahead. Yeah. The sixth song, some call it a love song, a ballad, Van Halen's attempt at reggae, but push comes to shove. The lyrics are great here. The guitar, it's a slow burner, if you will. And Dave's the reflections, push comes to shove. Some people live apart, they'll break your heart so damn easy. Do. It's one of those songs, honestly. A couple of years ago, I was at work, and I played it like 4 times in a row. Because it's
just that good.
Yeah, you stop it. It goes on a journey. What do you think of Push Comes to Shove, Ian?
The one thing that this album has always imparted in me was it's got that dirty street kind of thing to it. Women and Children First still had a little bit too much sunshine. This was walking down the street in New York City, it's that funky doom 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 boom.
Yeah.
Doom, 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 doom. It's just, and everything about it, and then that breakdown for the solo. Push, shove, and then he just those freaking
solo.
fleet fingers. Oh my God. Yeah.
Do you hear ever where'd I hear it? Either with Rosen or Steve Rosen or something. The solo of Push Comes to Shove. Eddie did it, 15, 20 times. And Templeman just, said, listen, we got to break for the night because we're just not getting it. And I had some notes. They called it a day. Eddie returned to the studio that night and played it again, the same way he had done earlier that day. The next day, he played it to Templeman, and the producer loved it. So the point being, maybe they tried it too many times, and they didn't even know what they had.
Wearing on the ears.
Yeah, they didn't even hear what they had. But absolutely love that song. Push comes to shove, the 6th track. Now, the 7th track, killer of a song. It ended up being called So This Is Love, but the original working title was Flesh and Blood.
Really?
Yeah.
Michael and Alex on display on this one. It's just got that, it's very reminiscent of old Grand Funk Railroad, which was a band that they loved from their cover days.
Mm-hmm.
And it's got that same kind of, that groovy, shuffle to it. And it's just moves right along. And the vocals, again, you got the, so this is love. Ooh, I need your love. And it's just Roth, spitting it out, going out my way, no my way around. The grass is never greener. And there's plenty
the
of
lyrics.
around.
No, but you're right. Alex and Mike, the bass drum boogie attack. They're having their own party back there. Ed's just doing what he does. Dave's is doing what he does. And here's a little trivia for you, Ian. What gift did the city of Oakland give Dave in that song from the live video?
I got my brand new Oakland scarf right here.
That's right. And that's that right there. That's and I love the video, the solo he does.
Yeah, man.
And he extends it. There's not a lot of pro audio of live Van Halen. There's tons of bootleg stuff, but that and that mixed down Showtime audio from the US Festival. That's the only real properly mixed live Van Halen with Rock. I was trying to think about it when we talked about that before. I'd have to research, remember when they did that Lost Weekend with Van Halen on the 1984 tour, and you had a contest winner that would backstage and partied. Yeah.
They had a lot of stuff that they shot, but I don't remember how much of stuff they might have actually recorded. But that would be pretty cool if there was something from them, because there's got to be at least 1 or 2 gems on there.
Let's see. We finish off with a
double decker.
Yeah, what is this? It's Sunday afternoon in the park, a little noodling synthesizer, Ed being all, crazy, and then going into 1 foot out the door.
Putting up the door.
Let's see. Sunday afternoon in the park. Look at my notes. Used a cheap micro synthesizer.
Yeah.
This is 2 minutes of auditory gore, whose place is puzzling on the album. Wow. Yeah. Some of those critics weren't too impressed.
Listen,
what'd you think of this?
I remember, thinking, it's like, Jesus, I go, it's still dark, like the album is, it's got that dark.
Yeah.
It was different not hearing his guitar cranked, but he may have recorded this the same way that he did And the Cradle Will Rock. For all we know, it could have been cranked through his Marshalls in the studio. It's got such a growl to it. And then he gets into that little riff at the end where it's, keeps going, wow, 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 wow. And he's slowing down the sequencer, and it gets that deeper growl to it. And then it comes in with that it's that funky, and it's Alex kicks in with the drums, and Michael joins along, and it just rides through to the end of the album.
Sunday afternoon in the park. They played it live on the tour. They played Sunday afternoon in the park, and Eddie did the keyboards. Right. He had that little setup,
just a little. Yep.
Yeah, just and it segue. Yeah, like you're saying, segueing right into 1 foot out the door.
And it's just that one is it's got that up-tempo burner kind of feel, but it's set with a synthesizer, rocking along with the bass and the drums. And Roth just, spit, again, continuing with that darker lyrical content. It's about some guy that was, screwing around with some chick, and she just happens to be married.
Yeah.
Telling me your husband's coming home.
Well, yeah, he's talking about, yeah. Got one foot out the door and,
oh yeah. But again, the solo, again is, Eddie, that parting shot from him to say, I'm still the guitar god here. And he just, I mean, it's all just blazing.
Yeah. No, go ahead.
I was going to say, I really have no problem with any of the songs on this album, even the synthesizer songs.
No, they're not. They're really not synthesizer songs.
No,
they're
not like we would think.
Yeah,
right?
they're just, it's 2 songs equaling 4 minutes. I would trade those 2 songs in for a better full real song, to tell you the truth.
Or squeeze them both together and then put one more song at the end.
We love them because, they're the end of the album.
Well, we're so used to that sequence, like you had said before, going back and you hear the, listening to, Push Come to Shove and then listening to it again. It's one of those albums, you drop the needle or you push play or whatever you do, and you listen to it from beginning to end. There is no, it's like, not a big fan. No, you listen to it. And by the time it gets to this part, you hear that ending part, where everything's and it's fading out. You're like, can't wait to do it again. And then you pick it up and you flip it over and you start it one more time.
Well, honestly, and correct me if I'm wrong, there is not a single song from the original 6-pack that I would ever skip over.
Oh, no. I don't know.
Is there? It's not like, I don't want to.
No. I've even gotten accustomed now because, for the longest time I used to kind of be not as attentive to it, but I would listen to it. You're No Good. I never liked it as a starter song. I thought it could have fit in on the album, but I thought they should have started with something else like, Lighten Up the Sky. That would have been the perfect starter.
You're sort of right. If there's a potentially skippable song, it may be it, but you don't skip. You don't skip.
Never.
No. And even I'll go on, and even, when you get to the a different kind of truth.
And that's something, thanks to you, I decided I went back and paid attention to more, because I was kind of like, it's not Van Halen, the whole Wolf thing. But I was like, you know what? I got to pay attention, because I remember there was some material that came off that I really liked. And it's got enough of the classic vibe with a modern punch to it.
Yeah.
It's just got this, oh man, and Roth again showing, you get them together with the Van Halen boys, and it's like, hey, where you been all week? Oh, I had to go out of town. Meanwhile, it had been how many years since they had done anything together? These guys, they're symbiotic with each other. The chemistry is just amazing.
Yeah, well, they, that album they did, remotely. So,
yeah.
Well, you know what? Maybe in the future we'll do a Rock and Roll Detention of a different kind of truth. But tonight we did Fair Warning, cool. And Ian, I want you to pick your one song off this album, your favorite song.
Mean Streets. Mean Streets is just something magic about it, man. Mm-hmm. The whole thing is magic, but there's just something about the way that it starts the album. It sets the tempo. It sets the scheme, the format, the texture. Texture is a good thing to use to describe it. When you look at the album cover, it's got that old school looking photo, that brown and black kind of thing to it. It's dark. This song sets that to it. It's just, what about you?
If I were to pick a favorite song off of this, Now, Mean Street's fantastic. I could have joined you on that, but I'm not gonna. It would have to be, it's so damn hard, a 3-song photo finish between Hear About It Later, Dirty Movies, and Push Comes to Shove. I'm going to have to eliminate Push Comes to Shove because even though it's great,
right,
it doesn't match up with Movies or Hear About It Later.
Oh, man. And there's
I'm not there yet.
Songs. Okay.
My number 1 song off Fair Warning, Hear About It Later. And I'm going to tell you why.
Yeah.
For 2 reasons.
Go right ahead.
One,
sure.
As a 14-year-old, and I saw the tour, and I remembered them playing that, and it was just, I just loved the song. And then a year later, when I rediscovered the song, when I saw a news magazine show called PM Magazine, and they did a special on Valerie and Eddie Van Halen, and they played that song at the beginning.
Really?
Yeah, I just loved it. And then maybe it's something the fact that it was supposed to originally written on piano. Maybe it's because it's a lump in your throat, or the fact that Eddie and Alex just fucking kill it, or the fact that David Lee Roth was so goddamn fucking perfect on that, and that breakdown. But just maybe it's the way it ends. Wow, boom, all of it.
But the dynamics are what really, and that's the thing with this album. I mean, those 3 songs that you picked are so, that's why I threw in Simple Rhyme from Women and Children First. It's the up, the down, the melodic and slow and chimey, the freaking heavy in your face. And think about the way that it ends. Bum, 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 bum.
Well, that's Women and Children First.
No, Hear About It Later.
No, well, you're talking about that. Boom, boom, boom.
Oh, no, that is. I'm sorry. Yes,
that's in a Simple Rhyme, and that's Growth.
That's so sorry. Right.
Okay.
That's right.
You see, listeners, Ian, he's just he's just completely out of his mind right now.
Well, anything Van Halen just makes me goosebumpy. I'm crazy. I'm like a kid in a candy store.
Well, you know what? We could go on all night, but we're not gonna. And thank you. We've been trying to get together and getting this done.
Thank you.
Fair warning, Van Halen. Yeah. Again, if you're not familiar with it, get out there. If you are familiar with it, send us an email. Go to our website, metalmayhemroc.com. Sign up for the newsletter. Send us a letter. Say, hey, guys, you're spot on. Or, you know what? No, you're wrong. Or, either or. But, get in touch with us. Let us know what you thought.
I'm sure that we'll deep dive into some more Van Halen as we go forward.
Yeah.
We love it too much.
All right, Ian, I will see you soon, buddy. Listeners, remember our Monday night radio show on Metal Devastation Radio. Get up to the website, metalmayhemroc.com. Join our community by signing up for the newsletter. And as always, remember, keep it heavy. See you soon, folks.
Metal for Life.
Thank you for listening to Metal Mayhem ROC. Check out our website at metalmayhemroc.com for information on podcasts, archives, links to all our live radio shows, and all sorts of info. Please like, follow, and share with everyone, even your non-metal friends. And always remember to keep it heavy.